Welcome to Mesech's Sukkah. Mesech's Sukkah discusses the mitzvahs of Sukkahs, four particular mitzvahs: the construction and the dwelling within a Sukkah, the Arba Minim, the four species which are taken on Sukkahs, the mitzvah of the Arova at the time of the Beis HaMikdash, the willow placed at the side of the Mizbeach, and the mitzvah of Nisuch HaMayim, the pouring of the water, particularly at the mitzvah of Sukkahs, and this is covered throughout the Parokim of Sukkah. The first two Parokim of Sukkah, Mesechah Sukkah, deal with the construction and the dwelling within the Sukkah during, of course, the days of Sukkahs. So let us start the first Mishnah of Perek Aleph. Sukkah shehi gevoya lamalo mi-esrim amo pesula. Rabbi Yehuda Machshir. The Tanna Kama says a sukkah which is taller, gevoya lamalo, above 20 amas, which means the space between the ground floor and the commencement of the sukkah. If that's above 20 amas, then it's possible. What is 20 amas? It's approximately 10 meters. A sukkah which is above 20 amas, such a sukkah is possible. And the Gemara, in the beginning of Sukkah, learns, because the Pasuk says in Devarim, Parshas Re'eh, Chag HaSukkos ta'aseh lecha shivas yomim. It's got to be a dira, a place where a person would live, for 7 days. 7 days means the construction of such a sukkah should not be of a permanent nature. Which means, if it's above 20 amas, it's impossible that a sukkah to remain in its state could be considered flimsy. It would have to be of a sturdy nature. And therefore, the Mishnah, based on the Gemara's, or the Gemara explaining the Mishnah, would say that that is considered possible, as it's not a temporary abode, and it must be a temporary abode. However, Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda says no. It's true, a sukkah would be lived in for the 7 days, but it doesn't have to be a flimsy structure. It doesn't matter even if it's a sturdy structure, which of course could last for very much longer. That would be perfectly kosher, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Then we have 3 examples mentioned in the Mishnah, which are possible. She'eino gevoya asora tefachim, if it's not 10 tefachim high. And the Gemara learns that if it's not 10 tefachim high, and a tefach, according to Rabbi Chaim Noah, is 8 centimeters, according to the Chazon Ish is 9.6 centimeters. So 10 tefachim, if it's not 10 tefachim, that would be considered a diro serucha, which means an unpleasant way of dwelling. If it's so small, that would not be very enjoyable. That would not really be considered a dira serucha, and therefore such a sukkah would be possible. Second point, ein lo shloisha defonos. If it doesn't have 3 walls, such a sukkah would also be possible. Yes, I might have thought it should have 4 walls. The minimum would be 3 walls. And that is learnt from the psukim in Vayikra, where the mitzvah of sukkah mentioned. It says Chag HaSukkos, and it talks there about Basukos Teshvu, and it mentioned this word Basukos 3 times. Basukos without a Vov, Basukos without a Vov, and then Basukos with a Vov. Basukos with a Vov certainly means a plural. It means 2 of what? And basukos without a vov is in the singular. The first basukos teaches us that you should dwell in a sukkah, basukos teshvu. Then we have basukos mentioned again without a vov, minimum, just 1. And then basukos with a vov, basukos meaning the plural 2. 2 and 1 is 3. And the Gemara learns that's not talking about the sukkah, the whole sukkah, but the walls of a sukkah. There must be at least 3 walls of a sukkah. And then the Gemara discusses whether, in fact, even that 3rd wall could be reduced somewhat. But strictly speaking, there should be 3 walls to a sukkah, otherwise this is not considered a sukkah. Menen shechamosom ruba mitzilosa. If there's more shade, its shade is more than its sunlight, that's fine. But shechamosom ruba mitzilosa, if its sunlight is more than its shade, that would be possible. However, if they're equal, that would be kosher. And the reason for that explains the Bartanura based on the Gemara. We're talking at ground level. At ground level, if they were equal, there was as much shade as sunlight, you can be certain, because of the diffusing of the light from the schach itself, there must be more shade than sunlight at the level of the sukkah, at the schach level, and therefore such a sukkah would be kosher. But if it had more sunlight than shade, you couldn't call this a sukkah. The whole word sukkah from schach means it should be a place of shade, not sunlight. Finally, the Mishnah concludes, Beis Shammai say that a sukkah yeshana, an old sukkah, Beis Shammai say, Beis Shammai poslin, uveis Hillel machshir, and Beis Hillel say an old sukkah is kosher. What does an old sukkah mean? Explains the Mishnah, Ve'ezu sukkah yeshana kol she'asor kodim lachag shloshim yom. An old sukkah is a sukkah which is made more than 30 days before Yom Tov. Just without thinking, a person made a sukkah more than 30 days, such a sukkah, according to Beis Shammai, would be possible. However, within 30 days, without thinking, as everyone is discussing, within Shloshim Yom Kodim, the Chag, people are discussing Yom Tov. If a person made a sukkah within 30 days, at the back of a person's mind is sukkahs, and therefore that would be fine. However, beyond 30 days, if a person just made a sukkah without thinking this is for Yom Tov, according to Beis Shammai, that would be possible. If, however, even according to Beis Shammai, if a person made the sukkah thinking specifically this is for Yom Tov, the Yom Tov of Sukkos, even from the beginning of the year, such a sukkah would be kosher, because the person had specifically in mind Sukkos. Beis Hillel, however, are not concerned, even if a person did not specifically have in mind that this sukkah is for the mitzvah of Sukkos, it would be kosher. However, the Rishalmi mentions that even according to Beis Hillel, if a person did make a sukkah without thinking specifically it was for Sukkos, well before Sukkos, just before Sukkos, a person should raise part of the sukkah and then place it back as schach, thinking this is specifically for my sukkah. Thank you.